Morning all. How are we all doing? I'm a little bit late this morning. It's Thursday. I'm always late on a Thursday, remember. That's my thing. I'm always late on a Thursday. So let me just get the DAX up. Right. So, how's everybody doing? Bit of a dull day yesterday, wasn't it? A lot of sideways action yesterday and a complete flop with FOMC. So we got, as you can see from the DAX yesterday, we didn't do anything basically throughout pretty much the entire New York session. It was just completely sideways and hideous, and all the indices did exactly the same thing. So bit of a dud day yesterday. If you look at the DAX, very sideways. All indices completely sideways. So dull day. We did get a little bit of movement. We had some movement on the pound US. The US got a little bit, ever such a small push off of FOMC and the PMI figures yesterday. PMI, was it yesterday? PPI yesterday. So yeah, it was all a bit meh, really, wasn't it? Morning Ladder, morning Stevie, David, Diamond, Themba, how are we doing? Just see, somebody asked in the Telegram group this morning about the DAX and explaining the difference between the Asian data for the DAX and some brokers that don't supply Asian data, and what the difference is between why we have data for the NASDAQ, the S&P and the Dow overnight. So for example, I've got data here on the NASDAQ starting at 3 a.m. but on the DAX, my data starts at 9 a.m. Yeah, so basically the main difference is these are different exchanges. The DAX is the top 40 stocks in Germany traded on the Frankfurt exchange. Yeah, the Frankfurt Stock Exchange, which is here. Yeah, opens 8 a.m. Yeah, and go to 10 p.m. Yeah, so that's its opening hours. The exchange opens at 8 o'clock in the morning. That is why in the UK I see data starting at 9 a.m. because it's out. So it starts at 7 a.m. UK time. Yeah. So this is when the exchange opens. Trading on the exchange, proper trading, floor trading, starts at 8 a.m. That's when the bankers and everybody gets their opening orders in the exchange. But before that, there is electronic exchange trading happening. Yeah. And during that electronic exchange trading, a lot of the time, not all the time, a lot of the time, if there has been a gap from where the stock market closed and something's happened which has meant that they've opened at a different price for that stock, i.e. the stocks have changed price and we opened up a different exchange rate, because this is tracking those 40, they will use that time and the open to come back and sort out this imbalance, which is basically some people may have been having algorithms running, say people, banks, morning Jane, where they'd taken a transaction there and they needed to close the transaction. They didn't get a chance, so the algorithms will bring the price back. It doesn't always happen. It depends on the size of the gap and what's actually caused that gap. But gaps fill. The actual reason for gaps fill, you don't really need to know. Yeah. What you need to know is that gaps fill. Yeah. That's all you need to know. You don't need to worry about the mechanics behind it. I've never really looked 100% into the mechanics behind gap fills, but what I can tell you is gaps fill. Yeah. Don't need to know why, do you? There's one there, opened there, close the gap straight away. Close, open, gap fill. Close, gap down, move down, gap fill. Close, gap. Multiple days of trading, gap fill. Gap up. Multiple days of trading, gap fill. You'll find you'll be very hard pushed to go back through time and find a gap that hasn't filled. It's just equilibrium in the market. Imagine how much is transacting through this thing every day, yeah? It's billions. Yeah, millions and millions and billions and trillions on the FX market. The difference between a price there and a price there in an algorithm could be hundreds and hundreds of thousands of euros. They will fix that imbalance, inefficiency. Yeah, it's like someone saying, oh, I dropped 50 quid and then walking off. He's going to come back and pick that up at some point. That's all a gap fill is. Don't really need to know the exact mechanics. So that's why the gaps are on the DAX. Some brokers will fill in this data, basically, not the gap necessarily, but this data gap between when the market closes at 10 p.m. and when it opens at 8 a.m. Some brokers put data in here. And to be honest, I'm not 100% sure where that data comes from because the exchange is shut. Yeah, nothing's happening. So this is what I'm classed as broker data, which is not real data, which is why you find most of the time it's completely flat. It doesn't do an awful, not completely flat, but it's like that. Like the Asian session, there's nothing happening. It's shut. The exchange is shut. Yeah, look at it. It's shut. Opens at 8 o'clock in the morning, shuts at 10 at night. There's nothing happening. You can't do anything. It's shut. So I don't know where that data comes from. Honest answer. I don't care. But what you need to know is it's what happens. The data is very similar across brokers, so it's not entirely random. No, there's something obviously generating that data, but I don't know exactly what it is. But I don't really need to know what it is because it doesn't make any difference. If this doesn't get filled now, there is a high probability it will get filled at some point during the day. If that doesn't happen, I know that in 3 to 5 days, they will come and fill it. That's the realism, as I've just pointed out on this chart. When you go back in time, that's what happens. It either fills straight away, virtually at the open or just before the open, or it fills the same day, or you usually have a 3 to 5 day pull away and fill. So if there's a gap, yeah, this is a really good way to play gaps. If you get a gap like this today, and we trade down today, and then we trade down tomorrow, and then Monday we trade sideways, Tuesday and Wednesday, virtually guarantee we're going up because we need to fill that gap. That's just what happens. So with the CME, which is the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, yeah, they run the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Dow. Yeah, so those exchanges, this is a nice little picture of the NASDAQ on screens. The NASDAQ, basically, the S&P and the Dow run on the CME exchange. They also have gaps, and they also get filled. Yeah, so and it works in the same way. But you see here, this one, we close at 11:10 and we open at 3 a.m. So the gap is much smaller. That's because the CME runs something called the Globex session, which is their electronic stock trading system, which is not open 24 hours a day, but it's open 19 hours a day. Yeah. So you can actually trade stocks. This is proper trading on stocks happening on the CME exchange with their Globex system. And the Globex system is basically just, there you go, CME Globex. It explains it all here if you want to go and look it all up. But it's the premier electronic trading system providing global connectivity, blah, 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 blah. Virtually 24-hour access to global markets. So you can trade stocks globally on the Globex system via the CME. So this data provided by your broker is CME Globex data, which is the right data. But the New York Stock Exchange bell rings at 2:30. So the Globex session, you find a lot of the time, is like the Asian session. It doesn't really do a lot most of the time. And then New York opens and the volatility comes in and it goes absolutely crazy. Yeah. So that's basically an explanation. So for Tony and Jeff, who asked in the Telegram group, that's basically it in a nutshell. But, you know, a lot of stuff happens, doesn't it? In trading. We can look back in the past and all you need is a set of occurrences that happen over and over again. Yeah, there is a gap. There it is filled. Yeah, when you get gaps, they get filled. There is a gap. It got filled. That's all you need to know. Gaps get filled. If the market gaps like that, it fills. because it's an efficiency thing. It means there's orders left open there that need to be completed. And if we open up somewhere different, those orders need to be completed and balanced. And it's just an inefficiency in the market that just gets corrected. But sometimes the volume of selling, which is, if we look at the DAX, sometimes the volume of selling or the thing that's happened overnight is so big and so powerful that the market gets dragged away from it. Yeah. That time it didn't, that time it did. Yeah. But then, and the gaps aren't always exact. That may have been the gap fill on that. I doubt it. It may have been. But, if the market struggles to get there and it can't get there, basically someone's going to take a loss at the end of the day. But you will always go back towards it. So anyway, that's gaps. And that's the logic behind them. Timing your entry into them, that's another matter. That's something which is a lot more difficult to do. Right, so we got a gap fill this morning. So I'm going to take a quick long this morning, small risk. Yeah, there's our opening range low, which will get put in 15 seconds. That's our opening range high. So let's see if we run for the gap this morning. Small trade, won't make a lot of money unless I scale into it. I put a buy stop above there. So there's our opening range high and our opening range low. So it's either going to run for that this morning or it's not. And if it doesn't run for it, I'll know at some point later today it's likely to come back. This one here, obviously, the other thing about gaps is the actual gap is literally where it closed. So it's there in this particular case. But you will find sometimes it won't quite get to the exact price. It'll get to, oh, that's enough price. And in this case, that may have been enough. It's not that often it happens, but that might have been enough. So, don't know. But I would suspect that we will probably come up and we will probably close that properly. Anyway, there's gaps. Right, so looking at news. I just want to monitor this one. I haven't got my other charting platform up at the moment because I'm not trading my funded accounts because I've got the balances to where I want to withdraw, so I'm just waiting. I don't open the MT4s. When I get my balances on my funded accounts to where I want to take the money out, I don't open them because if I open them, I'll trade them. So I just want to get the money out and then withdraw. I haven't got my other chart up to watch. I should put that up, shouldn't I? Leave it for the minute. So yesterday, PPI figures came out positive. Core PPI for the US came out as expected. The overall PPI came out as 0.4. The core PPI normally is the one that is looked at the most. I don't know why they put this one in red. I guess it's kind of the same thing. But anyway, it was ever so slightly positive for the US. UK GDP came out as negative, which is, that was why we were on live yesterday. FOMC yesterday, I put a post in the Telegram group with everything that happened in PPI FOMC yesterday. Very little. So I put this post up there. There was nothing positive, nothing negative. It was all very much what we've seen, basically. So I don't think there was any real bias change whatsoever out of FOMC yesterday. It was kind of business as usual. The one thing they did say, though, was that the other reason I took this trade, by the way, is that nice rejection down at these lows. So if we're going to do a gap fill, they've just come down and there's a load of limit orders triggered. A load of buyers will be buying up the lows. So there's a good chance that might have just been, let's retest these lows. Yes, there's a load of buyers down there, off we go. It may not be, but confluence. So FOMC, the only other thing they mentioned was obviously that global things happening globally, i.e. what's happening in the UK at the moment with the pension funds, the bank not bailing anybody out anymore, the government being in an absolute mess, Cabinet walking out yesterday, Liz Truss had a meeting with the backbenchers yesterday, not the Cabinet. meeting with the backbenchers yesterday to go through her plans and stuff. Half of them walked out of the meeting because they've got no faith in her. She's been in there 5 weeks and they're already walking out. If she doesn't have any confidence, and half of them, it sounds like, are going to trigger and vote of no confidence, if there's enough to do that, that will be a general election in the UK, which means that we will get Labour in within 2 years, which means there's going to be a big old U-turn on a lot of this stuff that's been going on. So that sort of thing is going to affect what happens with the Fed as well, because obviously there's a lot of inter-country and worldwide trading and buying of bonds and gilts, that sort of stuff. So it's going to affect everything, is what they were saying in FOMC yesterday. But again, nothing particularly exciting, I would say, came out of that. CPI for Germany was as expected, 10. So yeah, it's normal. Why can't I scroll down? News. Oh, news do that sometimes. Won't let me any further. Japan made me laugh this morning again. I do feel like a broken record. Literally every morning I'm coming in here and saying the same thing, aren't I? If there is any excessive Forex moves, we will take appropriate action. We are closely monitoring the Forex movements with a keen sense of urgency. Keep saying it every day, Japan, as you have been for the last 3 years. Unless you do anything about it, it's not going to change, is it? So they're monitoring, which means that at any point, and this is why I was saying I really like shorting the yen at the moment. If you're going to trade the yen, you want to be trading against, shorting it, shorting pound yen, shorting US yen, because when they do an intervention, the yen will power up, which means everything will come down against the yen. So if you're going to get into any yen trades, I would look to short it, because when they do press that intervention button, there will be a spike. It doesn't mean it's going to change the direction of it unless they come out and say something that's actually going to do something about it long term. But you will get the down spikes, which is what we saw, wasn't it? Yeah. The intervention, when they did it, we had that big spike. Let's go to a chart, we can see it. There you go. So yeah, that's your intervention. That's what you're going to get. That doesn't mean the Bank of Japan have done a long-term intervention. As you can see, they haven't. What it means is when we get that news, that happens. There's a load of money goes into it. So yeah, so just be careful with the yen. I'm not trading it at the moment. PPI came out at 9.7 for Japan. So, there's nothing good. No good news coming out. It's like them saying, we've got figures like this coming out, and then them saying, oh, we don't want the FX market to be unstable. Well, do something about it then. Bring your inflation figures down. Sort it out. But they're not. Ukraine's accession to NATO could ignite the Third World War. Good one, Russia. Western assistance to Ukraine is a signal that is a direct party to conflict. Suddenly I don't like this long on the DAX. Okay, too long. I'm going to get out. Well, I'm going to break. What I'll do is when we get here, I'll break even average it and see what profit I've got. We get there. So news today. Apart from that, obviously that's all yesterday's news covered. It was a crap day. I did really well out of it yesterday, actually, saying it was a crap day. I did 0.84%, playing the ranges in the Dow. What did I do yesterday? So yesterday, where are we? 12th. Lots of little trades yesterday. Some good, some bad. Really mixed day, but mainly selling it. So I had those two in the morning. I had a fail there. I had a fail there, and I had two good trades there. But I was basically just playing this range. And I decided to give up because I got bored trying to squeeze money out of the thing. It was very hard work squeezing money out of this yesterday. So, but it was so slow. But there's a good conditions for squeezing money out, as I did. But yeah, so that was yesterday. There was a bit a little bit rubbish yesterday. I'm just watching this, nearly getting to the gap fill, just about to get a reversal alert on it as well when we break these highs. Just hovering over the break-even average button. If we really struggle at these highs, we've got a minute left on this candle. If we struggle to get up above these highs, I might just break even average it and just get out of the trade. .30 seconds. So today, we've got CPI, which is obviously the biggie month and year for the US. So that is the inflation basically figures. So that's going to be obviously a big one at 130. So this is going to be obviously a direct leading indicator for what they're going to do with monetary policy moving forward. Obviously, the whole purpose of interest rates is to control inflation. So it depends what these figures come out as to what we are going to do today. Platform again locked up. I'm getting so fed up with Robo Forex. I really am. This happens so often at the moment. There you go. There's the gap fill. Pretty much. That's your the gap. When I'm looking at gap fills, I look at the candle, rather than the actual close, because most of the time it does do the close. But you will find, obviously, if this was unfinished, what they call unfinished business, unfinished business gets finished. That's it. It's done, and then they can do what they like from there. When you get a gap fill scenario like this, I'm just going to take that 0.4. I think. That's quick. 0.4 for the morning. So yeah, that's the biggie today. That could well have a big impact on the US. So we'll see how that comes out. We've had a very quiet few days, which you can see from the ADR dash. We're on Thursday. We've only had one thing hit its weekly range. It's been a very flat week so far. There's been very few ADRs signaled this week. We've got very few happening here, which is not atypical of an FOMC week, because the market's worried about what the Fed's going to say. So, and obviously the Fed didn't give any indication yesterday at all. So yeah, very flat week. The only thing we've got extended was the Aussie New Zealand. So today, after these figures come out, for CPI, that will probably kickstart the market, because they will have an idea of what they want to do with the US dollar, and obviously the US dollar is the world's currency. It's the biggest. So once they know where that is going and what's happening with it, now they know the Fed isn't doing anything different, we should open up the floodgates hopefully this afternoon and get some volatility back into the market. So then tomorrow we've got retail sales and City Old University of Michigan, which for some reason is red and no reason why it should be. Anyway, so that's tomorrow. So CPI this afternoon is the big one, and we'll have a look at what impacts that's had. That's worrying. US Secretary of Defense, we will defend every inch of NATO territory with all our might if the need arises. So that's basically US saying, you set 1 foot inside Europe and we'll have you. Fisticuffs in the playground as usual. Right, so that's news covered. So we're struggling now here. Seems very weak and meh this morning. No real direction though. Nice big spike up, and we're getting a little bit stuck at the highs here across the board. So that is your first 15-minute open there. So I take the 5-minute open as the cash balance, which is what the initial influx of orders is. And quite often you'll find that will give you the direction for the next sort of 20 minutes, half an hour or so. But a lot of people use the 15-minute and then they take the breaks to the 15-minute as to be the direction of the day. So if we close above here, we've got 1 minute left. If we close above this 15-minute opening range, which also happens, actually that's not the 5-minute, is it? Sorry. That's the 15-minute opening range. Yeah, no, that is 15-minute. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Come on, do your maths, Lee. That is the 15-minute opening range. That's the low of the first 5, and that is the 15-minute candle. So if this closes above here, my bias for the morning is long. So I shall be looking for some kind of pullbacks and potentially price action patterns to see if we can get some momentum to the upside. I've got a slight bullish bias on the DAX today. Why? Because of what we talked about this morning. We haven't got this really done 100% yet, I don't think. So I get the feeling we might go for an up day. The other reason being is we're stalling, if you look at the daily chart here, inside this control candle. Yeah, so these lows held. So far this morning, they've held. So if we're going to hold these lows, where are we going to go? We're going to go and retest some highs. Where are the recent highs? There, and there. Yeah. So that level up here, sorry, that's where we closed, wasn't it? So that level there is the gap, 12311. So to get up to there today is 150 points, well within an ADR. So that would be my kind of bias today, is looking for opportunities to jump in long and go up and get that gap fill done. So that's the logic on it. But like I said the other day, if I'm proven wrong, if it pulls back into this propulsion gap and I take a long and it stops me out, and it pushes up and I take a long and it stops me out, and then it pushes down and makes a new low, my bias will shift. The most difficult thing to do when you're intraday trading is to shift your bias. If you've got a bias long on something and you keep taking longs and they keep failing, you're wrong. So you have to shift. You have to say, right, okay, well, I'll go short then. And then you'll usually get your flush and then you'll be all right. But, you know, and this is what it's all about intraday trading. You either get it like I did this morning and it works nicely and you take your 0.5%, your 1% or whatever you need to do for the day and done, or you battle with the thing and go 2% down like I did earlier in the week on Monday or Tuesday, whichever day it was, and then you keep trading for the rest of the day and you put it back. Assuming you don't get a absolute nightmare chop day, you know, but that's nothing you can do. Those are your losing days. Those are the days where you blow your prop accounts and then you have to start your reevaluations. Hey, that's the life of a trader. So, right, so that's that covered. News and everything. Indices, obviously shorts overall, but at the moment I've got a slight long bias on the day there. The NASDAQ, again, an inside day following that big down day that we had. We're retesting this low. We're struggling down here. So we got the bounce and then we closed below and then we tried to push above, failed. So we are actually struggling here. So there's a little bit of divergence in the markets at the moment with the European and the US markets. We haven't managed to test that low yet on the S&P, and the Dow is miles away. So you look at this, I mean, this is complete indecision. This is FOMC week. Look at this, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, FOMC week. Market hasn't got a clue what it wants to do because it needs to wait for the Fed to tell it what to do. So today, we should get some decent movement in one direction or the other. But if that is the pullback that we were looking for, then we should potentially either get a push up to there and then a drop, or it's just going to go from here and come and retest these lows. But it's impossible to tell. There's no one can tell you what it's going to do. Today it's a coin flip. Really is a coin flip. Could go either way, couldn't it, today? So be careful with the indices. It might be one of those days where there's a lot of volatility, a lot of spikes and a lot of chop, and you just get murdered. Oil I got into yesterday for my first position. This is where I was looking for, this pullback to the 20. So remember I said I like it long now. I was in two minds whether to get into this again because it hurt me. It paid me absolute fortune and then it hurt me and I fell out of love with it. But I do like this long, especially with what's going on with OPEC and the cap in November. Although there's a distinct possibility that actually might not happen, because if they cap German oil pricing, that is going to cause a problem with production capping. And the Saudis have turned around and said they're not going to honour the OPEC capping because there will be a lower demand, a lower supply, therefore there will need to be more production. So this OPEC cap, which is designed to drive up oil prices, could all fall flat on its backside because of what's going on with Russia at the minute. So, but assuming the cap is in place, that should be our peak formation low back down here at 78 a barrel. We've had that lovely strong push. So I've stuck my fib on there and I'm looking for opportunities to get in. So a shallow pullback, if this is going to be a strong move, it will be somewhere between 38 to 50. Yeah. Morning, Neo. Morning, Steve. If we get a deeper pullback, we'll be looking somewhere 68, 71. But that is kind of where I would want to start being worried if we get the push down to there. But hopefully we'll just get that continuation pushed back up to the upside now. So this here, this candle yesterday was pretty much the retest on the daily. Yeah. So they retested this break of structure. So hopefully they'll go from there. So I just took a tiny little starter position on this yesterday. We got a reverse alert on M15 and on M5, so I took that initial position. I've got an ad here, which isn't the best ad in the world, to be honest. But I wanted to get a little bit more size on because this is a very small position. But I am doing it right into resistance and accumulation, which isn't the best place to add. But if what oil is, oil will just go. If it's going to go, it will go. Resistance and support is a lot less, as you'll see if you look at it on a higher time frame. Support and resistance is a lot less accurate, I think, on oil because it's a commodity. It's driven by a physical product, whereas FX is driven more by sentiment and humans. So target for me is just up at those highs at the moment, but this is the 20 bounce. So this is the 24 moving average on the daily. So I'm looking for that bounce there. So that's why I got into that initial position there. So yeah, I like it long. $100 is target. 100 to 110 a barrel is what most of the oil producers are saying is where they want it. Russia said they'll be happy with it at 80. Well, we're at 80, Russia. We're above 80. So, you know, either way, if it does that, that's fine. I'll still get out of, and, you know, this is what we did last time, wasn't it? We milked it. We just milked range for weeks and made a fortune on it. So we'll see what it does, but nothing I can control anyway. So hopefully it's going to go long, like it long. Gold. We didn't go anywhere yesterday. It's just starting to turn around. We've just retested the daily reversal alert. However, obviously this is just a US dollar cross. From what the FOMC said yesterday, it's business as usual with the US dollar. So you would expect the US dollar to be slightly stronger than everything else. It's still not looking great for the US, obviously, but it's looking better. You know, this is what I said. If you've got a bowl of apples, which is a week old, you've got to pick the best apple in the bunch. It's still not going to be ripe, is it? Not going to be the best thing to eat, but it's better than the rest. And at the moment, that's the US dollar. If everything is coming down, the world is collapsing and everything is going to start burning, something is going to burn less brightly than everything else, and that's the US. So it will be the stronger currency moving forward against everything else. And obviously gold, with the restrictions on it, we should see that, I guess, just continue as it is. I would have said completely the opposite, because if there's less supply and the demand is still there, you would expect the prices to go up. Most of it's locked up in Russia and it's not coming out. So therefore I would expect it to do that. It's not. And that's what I'm with oil. So I say business as usual on it, and just keep dropping against the US. But we'll see what happens. Right, so that's those covered. There's no ADRs today. Oh, we got a new bot. Oh, we got Tinder Hot this morning. That's a new one. Haven't had that one, have we? Okay. Right. So ADRs, there's nothing yet on the board. Weeklies, the only thing we've got is Aussie New Zealand, which I'm in. So I'm in Aussie New Zealand as well. So there's the trades I've got on at the moment. Like Aussie New Zealand down here, I've been looking for an opportunity to get into Aussie New Zealand anywhere down between the 24.72. I missed this. I didn't take it. It just wasn't quite right for me. Wasn't extended on the 4 hour down there. We didn't quite get extended on the 4 hour enough. Now we are. So I'm in now with one. Obviously, the Aussie is very weak off the back of the rate announcement still. And New Zealand did well out of its news. So at the moment, obviously, the bias is kind of like that. But long term, when everybody's forgotten about all this, the bigger economy is going to win out, as it usually does, and that is the Aussie. So we are roughly this sort of area, aren't we, at the moment? So I'm looking for initially just a burst back up towards the 24, and I'll get out with 0.5%, whatever, up there. If we drop, obviously, then we're starting to show signs of potential continuation weakness in the Aussie, then obviously we'll have to scale into it. But we'll see. I'm in that one. That's all we've got there. The 4 hour RSIs, the only thing extended is US dollar yen. And I think there's some people probably in this. It is very, very, very extended. But, this is a massive long. If you're shorting this, you'll counter trend against probably the strongest trending thing I've seen this year, apart from Euro US dollar, which obviously is hugely trending as well. But, if you're shorting it, it is a massive counter trend gamble. But equally, you are going to get this at some point soon. Yeah. When you get this extended, there will be the mother of all profit takes at some point. This was the news of the yen intervention. So at any moment, you could have that yen intervention. So if you are short US dollar yen, don't have a TP on it. Because if you're not home when that happens, well done. That's going to make your week, month, year. So very extended, obviously, on the 4 hour RSI. But it's very difficult to get into as a short because it is so strong, the US against the yen, because the yen is just so weak. But again, we've got the inflation figures coming out for the US this afternoon. If they're not good, we could have an absolute collapse on the US, couldn't we, today? Hopefully not, because I've got pound US dollar on short, so I'm hoping that it pumps like hell. So sorry if you're in this, but I'm on the other side. It's just one of those things that's just trending like a beast and is continuing to go. So not interested in shorts on that. I am interested in shorts on stuff against the yen, but I want to pick weak currencies to short. So something like the euro yen or the pound yen or the Aussie yen would be my choices if they were to get extended, because they're weak currencies. But even so, I'm just steering clear of the yen at the minute because I just don't have any faith in it strengthening, because they just keep saying it over and over and over again. And when they do intervene, it's so temporary, it doesn't make any impact. They are like a spluttering car. They're trying to start their economy and it just fails. Every time they turn the key, it just runs for a little bit and then conks out. It's just not working. So it's a dangerous counter trend. But, equally, people have been longing the hell out of this, obviously, here. They're going to want to take profit at some point. It's just you need to be aware that you're not going to get potentially a massive drop. Yeah, you might get a couple of big candles like that, and that's likely to be US news rather than anything else. And then you'll get everyone forget about that and carry on. So you'll get a pullback at some point. There'll be a big profit take move on it, but Aussie New Zealand, obviously, that's the other reason I'm in Aussie New Zealand, is we're 4 hour extended. So you can see where we got 4 hour extended was here, which is where I got in. And as I got in, we dumped another leg. So, hourlies, Nothing on the 21s, just flat as a pancake. The 14s, flat as a pancake, just flat. And the market's just flat and dead at the minute. It's very, very difficult to get into anything. So I've got the Aussie CAD long at the moment, which I've got 2 positions on. Took the second one on that, I think, yesterday. What did I take yesterday? Here. So yeah, I took this reversal alert yesterday there. So yeah, it's in profit, but again, you know, it's like everything at the minute, it's just really not going anywhere at the moment. So from a wick-off perspective, for any of you wick-offers out there, essentially yesterday was the wick-off spring. So I'm looking for a return up to these highs. That's an outlier. That's really where I would class the highs being there. So potentially this could be the accumulation before the break. In which case, obviously, I'll be looking for, you know, a nice push up. But that's going to be reliant on Aussie strength and CAD weakness. The problem we've got is the CAD gets dragged along with the US dollar, and the US dollar's got potential to rally today. So if that happens, the CAD's going to strengthen, which is going to dump this again. So we'll see. Nothing's in our control. We just have to get in and get out when we get some money. It's not profitable enough yet for me to take. If this gets up to 0.5% by 1:30 today, I will probably bank it. In fact, what I will probably do today is whatever is in profit, I will bank ahead of the news. So I'll just dump all this lot straight into the pot, because the news is either going to get rid of it, in which case I will lose it, or the news is going to make it bigger, in which case all of these will go into profit. So I can't lose, can I? I'm either going to bank money and all of this goes into profit and I don't bank as much on this, or I'm going to bank money and it goes against me and all of these are going to go into more drawdown, in which case I've won because I've banked some money. Because I've got an opportunity to deal with all these, haven't I? I can't get back losses that have gone because I was stupid enough not to put them in the bank. And I have got 0.5% sitting there right now I can bank. But I just want to see what happens pre-market, pre-news today. EA I set up yesterday, so this is the EA running now on my VPS. So I'm running the DAX short. I am running pound US short. I am running Aussie New Zealand long, Aussie CAD long, Aussie Swiss short. So this is a short bias Aussie. So I posted all this in the Telegram group, which ones I was trading, but Aussie Swiss. Yeah, it's a big short at the moment. So I've got the Aussie Swiss running short, and I've got Aussie CAD, which I'm in a mean reversion on at the moment, but I've got Aussie New Zealand running long. So Aussie CAD, you kind of ignore. This will be turned off. The EA will be turned off on this when I'm out of this trade. Euro Swiss, I'm running short. Euro US dollar, I'm running short. New Zealand CAD short. US CAD long. Pound Swiss short and long on oil. This is not a trend one. So this is the trend set file you can see up there. Probably can't see it actually, but with trend RSI extended, and this is a support resistance bounce. So these are different, obviously, entries. But yeah, EA is all set up. So I'm going to let the EA get me in, and obviously that will be based off of this dashboard. So any RSI extensions of 75.25 or more, in line with current trend, I will be automatically just getting into these, just trying to find some ways to get in, basically, because at the moment, with everything being so flat, you know, it's not often we look at the dashboards and there's literally, you know, it's just flat as a pancake, isn't it? So, and it's been like this for a few weeks. We get the odd spurt which gets undone, but it's so quiet at the minute. I'm happy to. Has anybody got anything they want to look at, specifically pairs wise? We might have an opportunity for an in here. The DAX. assume where we're going here. Bit of indecision on this candle. Yeah, has anybody got anything they want to look at in specifics this morning? Because I went through everything on Monday in detail, and did I go through it all again yesterday? I can't remember if I did. I think I did, didn't I? Can't remember. But I'm not going to go through each pair in detail this morning, really, unless you want me to, because there's not a lot changed. As you can see, with FOMC, we've not really gone anywhere. So everything is the same kind of as it was Monday, Tuesday. Yesterday was flat on the vast majority of stuff because obviously it was FOMC and we were just hovering around doing not a lot, really. So I'm just kind of waiting for something to move enough to actually get some profit in the bank. But if there's anything anybody wants to look at in specifics, obviously I'm happy to do so. Might have a quick flick through and just see if there's anything interesting support and resistance levels, but I don't think there's anything really that interesting. Aussie yen's nice propulsion gap. Bounce a minute. Aussie New Zealand, obviously we know about the 72 sideways. CAD Swiss not really going anywhere at the minute. CAD yen's just flat. Just nothing going on. Same as the Swissy, sideways. So Euro odd was very extended. We didn't quite get the pullback, the strength of pullback on this one. Obviously, this is where we had that volatility expansion. We had some big moves, big profit take, big moves, big profit takes. This is, was this the rate announcement? I can't remember when. Yeah, this was the rate announcement, wasn't it? But since then, it's just literally been grinding up, but not gone anywhere at all this week so far. Been extended, but just not going anywhere. So that's the kind of move that we're looking for, the next sort of profit take move to come in on it. But it seems to me as if it's just basing at the moment. And with the Aussie being as weak as it is, we really need the Aussie to kick in on this one. So the reason I'm picking this one out is because I am looking for short opportunities on the Euro. That's where I was expecting that short to start from, but they've managed to get another leg in. So the Euro, I think, still think it's a short against most things, but there are some very weak currencies out there like the Aussie at the moment. It's obviously beating, but that outlook will change. Lagarde has been very, very quiet. There's been very little coming out of Europe news-wise. You get the odd thing coming out, but nothing really exciting. They're not saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. It's all very much business as usual with the Euro. And with the Euro, obviously, we know, it's been absolutely trampled on for such a long time by virtually everything. It is business as usual, which is, short. But at the moment, obviously, the Aussies had this ridiculous like rate change, which has been smaller than everybody else's, which hasn't helped it. And it's been weak. And we've had a little bit of strength on the Euro. So this one's had a real big push advantage, but I can't see this lasting. So there was an opportunity to get in, but that was on the rate announcement, which I'm not going to get in around that news. I want to see what the market thinks of it. And the market at the moment hasn't really been powerful on the Euro, but the Aussie's been weak. So this is really a nice short, dependent on whether or not we get some strength on that Aussie, which at the moment it doesn't seem to be around. So that's been busted. I would say that's probably the best looking support resistance area at the moment. So 155, 744, if we can get a push up to there, at some point today, maybe around about an ADR. Any ADR hits to the upside on the euros, I think they're good opportunities to get in short, at least for a scalp. But yeah, it's a difficult one, that one. Euro CAD has been a little bit weak off of oil. That's strengthening up. So we've had the reversal alert on the 4 hour on this, which is retesting. It's really messy reversal alert. Took like big spike, horrible multi-day accumulation, drop. Then it dropped. Then it's come back and retested. We haven't got anywhere. It's looking nasty. Just horrible price action. So, but yeah, theoretically, that's a nice short as well. Potentially today as well. But it's a shame. It's just not. It's sideways. Just can't take any mean reversion trades when sideways. It just doesn't work. So Euro Swiss short. I've got the EA set up on this one. Ready to get in at some point. Short. Euro pound, utter mess. Euro yen short, but waiting for the yen. Just not in any good place, is it, in a minute? Euro New Zealand. That obviously we've had a very weak New Zealand dollar leading up to the New Zealand dollar rate announcement, which has very much stopped the run. So the market a lot happier with the New Zealand dollar now, as we know, because Aussie New Zealand's come down very, very hard. But it hasn't been strong enough to beat the euro down, as you'd expect, because it's a smaller area. But any kind of weakness in the euro or any sudden strength off of a commodity push in prices for New Zealand, and we should get a decent move down to start on this one. It's very rhythmic, as you can see. So, you know, one takes control, the other takes control, one takes control, the other takes control. It's the other's chance. Now, yeah, look at the size of the waves. If this is just going to continue, we're failing at resistance at the minute. So good looking long-term short. Just looking for a signal to get in really on this. But at the moment, obviously, it's just flatlined again, sideways, completely sideways. So, you know, these sorts of things, if you get back up to there, short it. Chances are if you get up to there, it's definitely going to react, isn't it? There's opportunities out there, just they're really hard to find at the minute. Euro US dollars are short, obviously, just sideways again. You can see, you know, it's FOMC week. Nada. Till this afternoon. As soon as the news is out of the way this afternoon, we'll be ready to go. So pound, obviously, I didn't talk about the pound this morning, did I? Utter chaos. Utter chaos. Friday's D-Day tomorrow. If you've got a pension fund and you haven't sorted it out and got your money out of the gilt market by tomorrow, you're stuffed. That was something that was interesting, actually, that I saw yesterday, which I forgot to mention. Two bits of news together for the pound, so it should be easy to find. Here. Companies in the United Kingdom face requests for loans from their pension funds. So companies that make loads of money pay money to the pension funds to run the pensions for their people. Yeah, the pension funds are turning around and going, can you give us some more? That's not good, is it? Hang on a minute, we're paying you so that you can pay our customers, and now you're asking for more money back. So the pension funds basically are, some of them seem to be in the position where they can't get out of the trouble they're in because they've had so much money in the gilt market as part of their investment. They've been over leveraged on it, and now they're stuffed. So tomorrow there's a good chance we might see some failures in some of the pension funds, and that ain't going to be good. Any bad news like that, pound's coming down. So this thing just feels to me like at the moment it's teetering on the edge of collapse again. But at any point, Theresa May, Liz Truss can turn around and do a 100% U-turn on what they've done, and the Bank of England will go, thank God for that, and we might have a little bit of strength coming into the pound. But I don't feel that we will, because until we get that announcement at the end of this month from Quasi as to what their fiscal policy is going to be, and it is signed off, there is nothing positive, because there is no way out of our current situation in the UK apart from taxing people higher, which they're not going to do, or borrowing more money, which they're not going to do, or by cutting spending on public service, which they're not going to do. There's our porn site back again. So what are you going to do? I don't know. Well, that's why the market did this, because unless you can tell us what you're going to do, that's what we're going to do. Everyone is going to jump ship. The Bank of England have just said, we're pulling support. That ain't good. So tomorrow it's all going to kick off, I think, unless something happens over the next 24 hours. I think we should see the pound start to weaken, potentially get a decent couple of ADR moves down on this. So any of these really, I mean, they're not extended, but look at them when you get an accumulation like this. Yeah, look at where we got to in the accumulation. We were extended, we just not gone anywhere. So if this is where that profit take move was going to start, but the market is unsure as to whether or not to do it, that's when it's probably going to happen, isn't it? Andy, morning. As far as the UK is concerned, the damage has already been done. No way back. No, I don't think there is either. I don't think there is a way back. I haven't got a clue. I feel sorry in a way for the government, for Liz Truss. She's walked into a mess. And I can see what she's done. She's come in and puffed her chest out and gone, right, I'm going to ruffle some feathers. We're going to do something different. That's what Maggie Thatcher did. We weren't in the same situation when Maggie Thatcher took control. It's a different thing. We are in a world recession that we have never seen and we have no precedent for. Basically what she said she wanted to do is not doable. There is no way out of this. Let's not forget that fact. The entire world, every country is going into recession. House prices are going to collapse. There are certain things we know are going to happen. It's a case of trying to control it. And this is where this soft landing thing comes from with the US. It's like, we're going to crash, all right? But we're going to try and make it as soft as we possibly can. She's trying to stop it happening. That's where she's gone wrong, I think. It's not going to, you can't stop it happening. We're a 300 mile an hour car heading for a brick wall with no brakes. We're hitting a wall. How good's your airbag? That's what we haven't got. Quasi is saying, we'll give you an airbag at the end of November. Oh, sorry, you don't want it then? Okay, we'll give it to the end of October. All right, well, what shall I do for the next 3 weeks? Hit the wall without an airbag? This is what happens when you haven't got an airbag. We still haven't got one. So I just, I can't do anything but do that. But I'm not going to stick my entire margin on short in the pound because I have no idea what's happening with Ukraine. And, there's so many things that can happen over the next 24, 48 hours in the next couple of weeks. You just can't, you've got to be careful. You can't over leverage too much. But I totally agree. I don't think there's a way out of it. And I think some of these pairs, like pound odd, that's way too inflated. That correction is way too big. Way too big. I know the Aussie's weak, but we overshot by 100% of where we should have shot. So this thing's well extended. But I've got the pound US on at the moment, so I'm not taking it. But the same with all of them. Pound CAD, yeah. Exactly where we were when the disaster happened. They bailed us out. At the time, we had a bit of a weak CAD. We overshot. We're back to square one. So we're basically back to where we were, which was absolutely collapsing. Can't be anything but a short, can it? Unless they come out with some master plan that we've got no idea about. And for some reason, all of the backbenchers that walked out of the meeting and wanted a vote of no confidence to trigger a general election suddenly turn around and go, oh, all right, yeah, that sounds great. It's not going to happen, is it? So short in the pound, any way, shape you can. You got, if you hit the short button now on pound Swiss, it's 189 ADR, which is back up to these highs. So if you took a short there, and for any reason the Swiss franc weakened or the pound strengthened, you take another short there, and you take another short there. If it gets up to there, it's going to be extended. The collapse is going to be way, way faster, but it's not going to be this fast. And this is the thing that's skewing all these charts at the moment. It's going to be this fast. Yeah, unless they come out and say something ridiculous again, which of course it will do that. We just don't know, do we? Pound yen, same thing. If we get yen intervention against the pound, this thing's going to come down so quick. I mean, this came down unbelievably fast, didn't it, during the intervention? I mean, we did 1,570 pips on a 289 ADR. Obviously, that wasn't in one day, but over the course of a couple of days, this thing just came down. You just don't see that sort of movement. It's almost like COVID, isn't it? But anyway, Pound New Zealand, same thing. That overshot, the correction overshot on the Pound New Zealand. There's no support and resistance anywhere around on any of these really you can pay any attention to. So it's just a case you've got to hit the button on them and hold on and wait. But Pound US is the one that I'm the most hopeful for, which is the one that I'm in still at the minute, purely based on the fact that the US, regardless of whether it cocks up today and makes itself weaker, is still going to be stronger than the pound moving forward. So if I have to scale into it, fine. If the pound starts to beat the US dollar, we are in real trouble. Yeah, it's if the pound suddenly finds enough power to start beating the euro and the US dollar, there's something really wrong somewhere, isn't it? But the only reason that would happen, I would suspect, would be a war, which again is possible, isn't it, at the minute? So who knows? New Zealand dollar CAD still short. Looking for short entries, very extended at the moment. This is the daily. But yeah, still, we were very extended. Nice mean reversion there on that one, counter trend. That one worked very nicely. But this one obviously didn't. You would have eventually got out of it, but very difficult. And this is what the counter trend mean reversions are. Just, you're in them for longer, they're more painful, they're horrible to sit through, everything moves really slow. When you say, when I get into a trade and it works immediately. When I get into a trade and it doesn't work, I seem to be in there in slow motion, it lasts forever. That's why, because if you're taking them and they aren't working out, you're going against the market, and it's slower to get out. And these counter trend ones, they're just so slow, which is why I'm just looking for these trend based ones at the minute, because they're just so much nicer and easier to get in and out of. That one worked well. We had a nice reversal on the hourly. It just worked out nicely, so nice one on that. But I'd be looking for shorts on it. New Zealand Swiss sideways. New Zealand yen, no idea. New Zealand US short, but again, need the US to wake up, which hopefully will be this afternoon, and then obviously the US's, which we're waiting to wake up this afternoon. So that's it. Tough, very tough at the minute, because everything's either sideways. How long have I been in this pound US? Just flip-flopping in profit, out of profit, in profit, out of profit. Everything's just flip-flopping at the minute until this afternoon. So I missed it. I was talking, wasn't I? I said this is our long. I was waiting for that candle to close as an inside bar, but never mind. Struggling at these highs a little though. I get the feeling again today is going to be very much like yesterday. Just you'll probably find we get something like that happening today until 1:30, and then 1:30 it'll all start moving here. We're waiting for CPI, aren't we? So I'm not going to bother doing anything this morning, I don't think. You just run the risk of taking a long, stop under there, stop taken out, go back up to where you were, take another long, stop under there, move up a little bit, move down, stop taken out, move back. That's your typical Globex session, which is why a lot of people don't trade Globex in US indices. That's your typical chop session, and it just hurts. You just end up giving back 0.25%, 0.5%, 0.25%, 0.5%. Before you know it, you're 2% down and you haven't gone anywhere. The market's just accumulating, which is why they call it an accumulation. You're accumulating your money. This is what we want, movement. So, yeah. Meh this morning, I think. Meh. Right, so that's it for today. Nothing much to report. I'm not going to do I was thinking about doing a live stream on this, but I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to trade it. And I don't think there's much advantage to me sitting here telling you what you will be able to see on your charts, because if this comes out as something like that, we're off. If it comes out as something like that, we're off. if it comes out as that, the market will go one way or the other because they will have an answer, but it won't be, an answer in one direction or the other. So difficult to tell what will happen, but you will see on the charts, obviously. The US is going to take off in one direction or the other this afternoon, I suspect. So we will be going at last. We've got crude as well this afternoon at 4 o'clock. Why was that not yesterday? Why is crude moved to a Thursday? Anybody? And why is it 4 o'clock? It's normally 3:30. So we've got crude this afternoon as well. So yeah, if you're in oil, obviously got some potential volatility this afternoon. We want this to come out as a negative number, which will obviously boost prices. So see if that comes out as negative. They're forecasting an increase. So if it comes out as anything lower than 0.9, we should be good to go on oil this afternoon. And that's it, really. So, and then obviously tomorrow morning we've got M2 money stock year on year for the yen. That might move it as well. Money supply is a big leading indicator. That's something that is very important. And this is why M2 money supply is one of the leading indicators. It's never reported, but it's one of the leading indicators used in the US dollar in the funds as part of their analysis, because money supply is very important, and especially for someone like the US who continuously keep printing the thing, which doesn't help it. Yeah, the less of it around, the more valuable it becomes, sort of thing. So M2 money supply is an important factor, but something we don't really get involved in. But under the hood, the analysts are looking at this sort of stuff. So anyway, but that's it. So that's all I've got for you today. Yeah, this is struggling today. This is going to be a little bit like yesterday. Going to be a little bit like that, I think, today. Either that, or we're going to get the range movement still, and we're going to maintain the ranges. So if we, we're just in a shop at the minute, aren't we, here? So, but if we did get up to there ahead of 130 with a couple of hours to spare, I'd probably look at a little bit of a short on it, especially if we got to the gap fill. And if we got down to here, I'd look at a little bit of a long. But other than that, I'm not taking anything in the middle there. It's just a pain in the arse today, so wouldn't bother. Too dangerous. All right, guys. So I'll be back. I'll be in the Telegram group if you need me. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, 7:50. We'll have a look at the fallout of CPI, but obviously I'll put something in the Telegram group about the CPI figures. And I'll let you know if I'm getting into anything new. I doubt I will today because stuff's going to start moving. So if we get some good extensions on the hourly RSI 14s, there may be some opportunities for me to get into some positions today. So I'll let you know if I do. But I probably won't actually notice them necessarily because they'll just suddenly appear on my P&L. Because I'm not getting any alerts. Actually, what I might do, I might run the VPS on one of my other monitors and just set it up to put alerts when it enters trades as well. Just so I can post them then. But you know what I'm doing. I'll put it on the Telegram group. And if you don't, ask. All right, I'll be back tomorrow morning, 7:50. Good luck today. And hopefully we get some strength in that US and we'll get some movement. But until then, keep your powder dry, so to speak, and wait until it starts to go somewhere. All right. Have a good one. See you in the morning.